Hello, good day, and welcome to today's edition of Smart. It's Sunday, June 25th, 2023. We apologize for not being in your homes um, for, I believe, 2 Sundays due to technical difficulties. We're back with you, and we're going to have some very informative conversations today. But before we get to our special invited guests to this program, I have a message for the People's Progressive Party and its General Secretary, Mark Jagdeo. Nothing that flows from the evil minds of the corrupt People's Progressive Party trolls will ever silence Mervyn Williams. Nothing. You tried before with the Guyana Police Force when you sent them to my home to arrest me many years ago on the allegation that I stockpiled guns and ammunition and gave them to criminals. I invited your police to search my premises and search the surrounding areas. They refused. Instead, they took me into custody and kept me for a while. Leonora. That didn't silence me, Mr. Jagdeo. You sent your policemen to arrest me at Parika. I was a regional councillor, standing in defense of the constitutional right of the vendors of Parika to ply their trade, to work and to earn. Their police dragged me down the street to the Parika police station where they kept me for a while. That didn't silence me, Mr. Jagdeo. I hosted Nation Watch from 2006 to 2009 approximately, during which time I was under 24 hours a day surveillance, 7 days a week. Policemen and intelligence officers outside my window day and night. You did not intimidate me then, Mr. Jagdeo. You didn't silence me then. You're not going to silence me now. I will continue to stand and speak in the interest and defense of the people of this country, particularly our girl children. And no amount of dirt that is fabricated and spewed all over the place, purported to be actions of mine, will ever silence me, because the truth shall always prevail and set me free. And your web of lies will continue to cause you entanglement, discomfort, and all sorts of unease. Because that's what lies do. And if your underlings are doing it to pleasure you, or they're doing it as a result of your instructions, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I will not be silenced. I will not be silenced, especially when our indigenous girl children are involved in situations where they have to openly allege criminal behavior on the part of your minister. And those responsible remain silent. I will speak. And remember, sir, that in your cabinet there's at least one convicted felon. August 8, 2012, Kaichur News, Kwame McCoy convicted of gun butting man, fined $70,000. Chronicle, 2nd March 27, Kwame McCoy found guilty of assaulting Ben Shop, fined $20,000. Kaichur News, 2nd August 2009, unacceptable for McCoy to still be on Rights of the Child Commission. 25th September 2007, Manik Chan must remove McCoy from Rights of the Child Commission. Stabrook News, 8 August 2012, AFC urges McCoy's removal over conviction. That's what you appointed to your cabinet. That's who purportedly generates, manufactures, and disseminate dirt, targeting people's character when they expose your nerve end, your People's Progressive Party's nerve end, and cause discomfort. You would never attack anyone who hasn't exposed your nerve ends and who have not hurt you. I will continue to do that which I do, irrespective of the nonsense that your agents believe that they can do. They will never succeed. We will pause and we'll be right back.
Oh Lord, I'm living for you once more. They really down now. Can't cool enough, can't water down enough. Not compromise, no time enough. Give it up. A big like you, rape off a 6-year-old baby. A big man like you, Papa, you're gonna put 9 on a little old lady. A big man like you, born down a school and not talk about your man sick and crazy. But when God hold you, no if, no but, no matter, tell the Almighty, boy, maybe. Yes, them and lie, them.
Present to you some of your elected councillors for the city of Georgetown. We propose to present to you the councillors elect, the constituency councillors elect, and I believe we have about 10 of them. We have Mr. Travis Ellis from constituency 10, Gregory Fraser from constituency 8, Clayton Hines from constituency 5, Javon Mohammed from 6, Yvonne Ferguson from 11, Winston Harding 13, Troy Garraway constituency 12, Kebwe Copeland constituency 14, and Eileen Chalmers from 15, and Kyle Solomon from constituency 9. All of them are not with us this morning, but we will present those who are here. Here's an observation. The city of Georgetown is owed more than $1 billion Guyana dollars by government agencies. These agencies have either omitted or refused to pay their rates and taxes to the city, hobbling the city, as it were, when it comes to discharging its functions. The city of Georgetown gets $30 million in subvention from the government of Guyana to service 15 large constituencies, 15 well-populated constituencies. I'm advised that the Fiscal Transfer Act presents a formula which affords the city, or which provides that the city ought to receive somewhere in the region of $700 million per year. There's a marked difference between 700 million and 30 million. May I present to you Mr. Winston Harding, who was declared the winner of constituency 13 at the recently concluded local government elections. Mr. Harding, would you be kind to briefly introduce yourself to our audience?
Well, good morning to you, fellow personnel in the homeland and those in the studio. My name is Winston Harding, elected councillor of constituency number 13, which is the West Rhinefeld Laying Avenue. Yeah, West Rhinefeld Laying Avenue, East Rhinefeld, and we call the Towler Dam. My constituency has brought home a successful win for the APNU, and I would like to say a big thank you to the entire constituency. Not forgetting that I want to leave one word, that no matter what, constituency 13 will always be for the APNU. They will not be for sale at no time at all.
Thank you very much. What did you see during the campaign as the major issue, the single big issue, um, as you campaigned, and now that you have been declared the winner of the constituency, what are your plans in terms of um, bringing some kind of solutions to the problem that you identified?
There are some important issues that was being raised during the campaign, but the most that was being raised is jobs for the young persons in the constituency. Now that I'm elected councillor, I am purporting to ensure that, well, you won't get jobs for everybody, but I'm purporting to see how far I can take it so as to assist the young persons in their job speculations.
All right, we'll get back to you. Let's bring in Mr. Clayton Hines. Clayton, you're a man of music. You didn't manage to sing your way through to this victory. It called for some foot slogging and some hard work and convincing people to stay with you as you sought re-election. How was the campaign for you?
Well, for me, for me, the campaign has been a very and revealing exercise, and that in itself has signaled to me that, in essence, people are interested in improving the quality of their lives, and that was made very clear in my engagement with the community. Now, if I may say, Constituency 5 is one of the second largest.
Tell us where that is.
Constituency 5 includes UG Road North, coming down right down to Eastern Highway. That will include north of Dennis Street, say from UG Road right down to Eastern Highway, will include Turkine, Patterson, Liliendal, and Sophia North. Then when you meet to going up into Dennis Street, you have Sophia, which will include North and Sophia, from Park Farmers Field, commonly described A Field, B Field, but it's really Liliendal and Patterson South. That's the area. So it's the second largest area or the constituency in Georgetown.
Do you have a sense of the population?
The population size is in the vicinity of between 25 and 30,000 persons.
So your campaign focused on what? And how do you, I mean, you have some experience in the council. How do you treat with the findings on the campaign as you return to council?
Well, essentially, there are some very common problems that will affect Constituency 5 and Constituency 6, because the block of land, commonly referred to as kind of Sophia, straddles Constituency 5 and 6. That is along Dennis Street, when you enter along Dennis Street from the Eastern Highway. Now, from Park Farmers Field, they are established kind of communities. North Turkine is an established kind of community for some time. Sophia North is an established community not so long, but there are parts of that area that has been there say, for quite some time. Now, what I have discovered is that there are some very, very obvious issues that need to be addressed. One of the major things in that constituency is drainage. Drainage is a critical requirement.
How do you deal with that going forward?
Well, at the current moment, the interlocking drains for both Liliendal South and Patterson South are the impediments that really affect the water kind of logging on the land. If those small interlocking drains are cleared, then heavy rainfall would not affect the homesteads that you would find in the constituency. Currently, there is an arrangement that the council had worked out on the APNU with NDIA, where the essential drains are being cleaned by way of contract with NDIA. So that is ongoing, but that is only for the main drains. But the interlocking drains are drains that need to be cleaned because those main drains drain the fields. And if you don't get those interlocking
do you
drains
have
in
a
the culvert-
plan? Do you have a plan?
Yes, well, the plan is incomplete, but the plan is to engage organizations, individuals, interested individuals in the constituency, where we will develop a plan to address just not only drain, but overall improvement of the constituency, both in terms of sports, in terms of other activities, and to address other critical issues like teenage pregnancy and so on, health issues in the constituency, because the constituency in itself, normally in my public engagement with people, I tell them that constituency 5 and 6 is like the United States of America. They have people from every region living in this constituency, region 1 to 10, and they have different experiences. So you have to engage social organizations. You have to look at the existing sporting facilities that exist in the constituency and seek to improve them. Then I'm hoping to develop a program that will engage youths directly so that they can see the wisdom of living lives that are very rewarding.
But Mr. Harding, you have been engaging directly. Do you propose now that you're elected to continue engaging people, or how do you propose to move forward?
I will continue to engage persons at the higher level and the lower level, including persons within the constituency.
Right. Well, congratulations to you on being elected. I know that the process is not concluded in terms of the identification of the PR candidates to council and other important matters such as internal elections. So I wish you all well, since each of you stand on equal footing going forward. We will pause for a moment and we will invite 2 other councillors-elect to the chair so that we can continue the conversation. Now, it is rather interesting that there is that report which projects that there are some cities which are below sea level and which are likely to be consumed by the Atlantic by 2030. But we continue to see focused development on the city of Georgetown without any reference to climate change, its impact, and shifting our population inwards. We still see massive spending on projects enriching friends and cronies of the People's Progressive Party on the coast. So these are all interesting developments. I have with me 2 other councillors-elect who are going to present themselves to you immediately. Go right ahead and introduce yourselves to our...
Jeffon Mohammed, constituency 6, elected candidate.
My name is Travis Ellis, constituency 10.
It's as brief as an introduction can get. Mr. Ellis, tell us a little bit about constituency 10, its boundaries, its population, and its troubles. This is your first time as a councillor. Okay.
Yes, this is my first time going up for run as a councillor and being elected for constituency 10. That's Charlestown, all by Stum. That's from Princess Street to Independence Boulevard. During the campaign trail, it wasn't easy. It was a hard task because we know the PPP spend a lot of money in that constituency. For me, I had my support, and my basic support was the youths. And that was one of the upper hand that I had against the candidate for the PPP, getting the youths on board with me, because on my campaign trail, I make some promise that I will have to fulfill. and that's pertaining to some of our school, the children that drop out from school. We have a lot of domestic violence in that constituency as well. Also, we're troubling with the drainage and with the teenage pregnancy as well. So I'm looking to work with the youths in that constituency.
I'm very familiar with Albistown. My childhood history. There's a lot of childhood history for me in Albistown, and it is a community that's very close to me. I still have relatives there. Speak to this issue of the condition of the streets in Albistown. Every single street in Albistown is in the most deplorable condition, and instead of attending to the streets, repairs of those streets, we had the minister of government going in there. I don't remember his name. I think he's a preacher of some sort. And going to Pontrench, well, we know it as Pontrench, Independence Boulevard, and putting in a concrete strip. In the process, displacing people who've been living there for decades without regard for their well-being, their safety, their relocation. Speak to that issue. How impacting is this, and how are people viewing it?
Well, so for me to answer that, basically with the recent work that they did out there, it had a lot of negative vibes with people, with removing people from there. Likewise, in a whole, it is good, but places when you for remove people, you must have places to put them somewhere else. You just don't come and bulldoze people like that. People been living there like over for 15 years, 20, and you just come one day with a to say you're going to do that. I think that's one of the reasons why they weren't elected in that area, because of that.
Well, it's a minor reason really, because Albistown will never vote PPP. That's a fact, and that is a historical and current fact.
Yes.
Mr. Mohammed, there was a lot of talk running up to the local government elections coming from the People's Progressive Party, particularly Bart Jagdeo, about wiping out the APNU and wiping out the PNC and taking over the city. What are your views with respect to those statements, having regard to the reality of these elections, the outcomes?
Well, coming to this election, well, there was previous elected councillor for my community for the last local government. So I just decided to take up the challenge this local government coming up, because everybody believe that the community need to come back in APNU hands, in PNC hands, and they find that, I'm a young youth getting along good with each and every individual in constituency 6, all race, creed, both within the sports facility, within the youths on the ground, getting youths employed, getting jobs out there for youths, and so there's even before running for council. So when I was given the task to run for the community now, it was like a win-win for me, because even though everybody say I got a tough challenge on my hands, whereby they was even doing a lot of bridges and spending a little money, but the reason why they wasn't spending it in the right way, because the things that the people need to see done wasn't doing. For instance, we had the road where we had a lot of lights, and we see the roads with light now, and most of the roads that is reversing and deteriorating, breaking up, the corners, the road corners, messy, is like a garbage city, and this thing that I was addressing within the campaign, going around meeting people, leaving to that, we go through streets that never done in previous years, into simple black and white road, which was done under the my mother, the former councillor for APNU, before this last local government, whereby she was rushed to get in roads and couple streets and roads that people never think would be done. So this time around now people see like it more benefit on cars. With on me part on the campaign ground now, I as a man was go house to house. As cars this thing that I do in cars over 28 years I live in Sophia, meeting house to house, living. They got a lot of friends, family, you know. So it's like it's a good relationship with me and the people in constituency 6 that I don't build. So when I do the campaign, I was walk around, check people's situation. Even at some time, I could even give some help to some people where if we had some elderly people who can really help themselves. We had to go and beat some alleys. I think we then said the previous candidate promised them he's going to clean it. So we didn't wait on promise. We act as they say they want. The thing we get couple we don't want. We get them everybody organized, we get it done, and you know it was like a good motivation on the ground. And with the youths now, it was so good with the youths to know that you know as a youth as themselves taking up a challenge that nobody won't believe that wow, this youth guy enough to represent constituency 6, Cummins Lodge, Priamsal, C Field, E Field as them Scarlet, you know, into E Field and so on. So when I into the challenge now, it was like a good move for me on all rounds. It made me get a lot of criticism, a lot of talking, a lot of this, but it didn't do me nothing.
Excellent. Travis, I made the point earlier that the city is being starved of funding to which it is entitled. The city is being starved of revenues by the government of Ghana, which is failing, omitting, or refusing to pay its rates and taxes. And so that becomes a major challenge for the city in discharging its duties. Do you think that this council will be treated any differently? I mean, Jagdeo did say that if the PPP were to win the city of Georgetown, that the PPP government will work with the newly elected council to make Georgetown, a better place, I suppose. But the fact of the matter is that the PPP did not win. Do you see the PPP government working with you as a new council? Do you see the city under this new council getting its just share of the revenue from government?
For me, Jack, recently I heard a press conference with him saying that he's willing to work with the council, work with the APNU. But we're going to hold him on his word if he's going to work. But for me, as the first time going to the council, I don't think it's going to be business as usual. Because recently, during the campaign trail, we saw the garbage was picking up by the person right now who is the solid waste management. And all of a sudden, by some garbage stop pick up over 2 weeks. And that's a big concern right now for me in my constituency because the garbage is piling up there and it's not going anywhere. That's showing you clear that they're not going to work with us. That from there, it's showing you clear that the PP is not going to work with us. But we got to find ways to get these things done for our people in that consistency.
Now, help me understand this. You are saying to us that in the run-up to local government election, I mean, I don't live in the city, so you pardon me. You are saying to us and to our viewers in Guyana, in Georgetown, and the world at large, that in the immediate run-up to local government elections 2023, the solid waste management unit of the Georgetown Mayor and City Council was actively picking up, removing garbage from wards within the city, and that following the declaration of the results showing that the APNU had retained the office of mayor and that won the city of Georgetown, that the garbage collection has stopped? Is that what you're saying to us?
Yes, and I have evidence because I take photograph every time I walk in my constituency where I want and seeing the garbage piling up. People just start dumping. For instance, right from you're coming from Ducky, you go there, Malcolm was on and the salaries man, they was cleaning all the time.
And Ducky is at the head of Hunter
Not
Street.
Hunter Street. And if you see the garbage here
Hunter
right
and
now,
James. Sussex. sorry.
Sussex, if you see the garbage piling up, it's a real concern right now, because if you've been doing it before the local government, how all of a sudden it halted? What's the reason for that?
I should be asking you what your thoughts are.
My thoughts is because they did not win Georgetown.
So you're suggesting that an arm of the city council is working in support of the People's
PPP,
Progressive
yes.
Party and in opposition to the elected council.
Yes.
What a story. What's your experience?
Well, my experience, well, so far we've experienced not just all the work that was doing seas, and we hoping to see if it's going to finish off, if everything will be completed as what we see started in the constituency by them. But for now, we could just hope and pray that they work with the council of Georgetown, and they will make Georgetown a better place.
But is the garbage situation the same in your area, the same experience as Ellis had?
As I explained to you already, that was just from starting before local government. I know all of that, but I'm going to try my best to see if we could adjust it right now on the ground. But right now, we road corners are filled with garbage all over, each and every one. Even to the roads in Whedon no more. Mm-hmm.
I want to put this question to both of you for brief responses before we switch. The capital city is below sea level. So there's always the risk of rainfall water on the land merging with tidal water from the Atlantic. So that if the sluice doors are open, and there's water from the Atlantic in, and then when the rains come, the two get together and obviously cause the flooding.
Well, they got a different situation by me. Even though now remember that yesterday, individually tell me, remind me that the conservancy at the back by me now, we just break away a lot. Under the scars, constituency 6 to be a lot of yard at low to be flooded out. And there's another adjustment that happen. I know if there's a way for it happening because we call in, we report it many times, and every time it's just a new error all the time happening.
Yeah, but the bigger point I wanted to make here and to ask you to respond to very quickly is that given this fact that this water, the two sets of water are colliding, given climate situations, and you see within the city when the capital works are being done, for example, through the cemetery, a once very wide trench is being reduced to about 2.5, 3 feet. And of course it's concrete, so it's shallow as well. And so the functions of a drain are perhaps twofold. One for draining the water, obviously, and the other in situations where the water is lodged to act as a reservoir to hold it until you can get it out. So you have water spilling out of these now narrower and shallower drains. Do you see this as a threat? Do you intend to deal with it if you see it as a threat, or are you comfortable with it?
It is a threat because I would use my constituency where they recently finished that pond trench, because of they take Middle Road and this stuff, and all the drainage is coming through or by some. So since the rain set fall within an hour or by some duck underwater, the engineers them, I don't even know what it is studying for do that. Bring the Middle Road water, the penitence, all the water to run through or by some. Basically, you didn't concern about the relative in or by some.
Yeah,
by doing that.
And the next thing to the drain for those same, the bottom for them same drain, even lower than the trenches water. So it's not a good drainage, because remember now if it's too fine now, it can't take off the amount of water where it's supposed to. So you're going eventually it's an error. It's not suitable for the city. It could cause flooding, it could cause
problem.
So we're going to head into problem.
Well, congratulations on being elected. and I trust that you will serve your constituencies in the city of Georgetown well. And I want to let you and your elected colleagues of council know that Nation Watch is open, and there are issues affecting you, there are issues affecting the council in the city of Georgetown, and you want to bring it to the attention of the public, we are available. And we are that medium that you can rely on. So thank you very much, and congratulations once again, gentlemen. I know
you.
that our ladies are not
Thank you
with
for
us,
having me on your
Thank
program.
you for having me on the program.
so we will take a very brief break, and we will be right back with you.
And this year, Guyana dropped 2 points on the Transparency International's Corruption Perception Index, which puts it among the most corrupt in the region. Do you accept that within this government and within this country, there is a problem with corruption?
We do have real corruption.
Do you use middlemen like Sue in order to take money on your behalf so that you can keep your hands clean?
Oh, so I can't comment on that.
Welcome back, and we have Councillor Fraser, is it? Councillor-elect Fraser with us. And Councillor-elect Fraser is going to be representing constituency 8 in this new council, which will be taking office very shortly. Welcome, sir, and you're free to introduce yourself to our viewing public, please.
Thank you for the opportunity, Marvin. And first, I want to say thank you, a big thank you to constituency 8, which is boundaried from Lissinger Road to Lambert Street, from Princess Street to South Road to Crowell Street, then from Chalmers Place into Hatley Street, right down to Stabrook Market area. That's the
You've got
boundary.
a congested
No, it
constituency.
is just like a L, started from Coffee direction. You know, those people in the community, in the constituency, over the years, placed their trust in me. They've done it again. They have showed me that they have the confidence in me.
So you're a returning
won-
councillor.
Yes, I won my constituency with a resounding victory. And so, one that I anticipated. I have been doing good work. I have a good record of delivery, and I intend to continue what I was doing. There might be sometimes, when you are in one area working overtime because of climate change or some other issue, you might have to change your style of delivery. Be it what it may, cause it what it will, delivery will be realized at the end of this period again. I promise you, and the people of my constituency.
How do you see this new council being, in what ways do you see this new council being different from the one, the incumbent council? Are there many new faces? Are there going to be a new approach?
I have knowledge of the 10 constituency councillors, who was one of the constituencies, and there are also 9 PR councillors. I believe that we form together the greater number. That said, we are going to have to elect our mayor and deputy mayor and other committees. We will have to together have caucuses. We'll have to together agree and disagree and come up with the right solutions for the people. You know, Marvin, we've been walking Georgetown since last year, actually. And so, me in particular, I've walked most of the constituencies. So we heard the people in each constituency, we know what the problem are. And the problem, don't believe the problem that they had yesterday is the same they have today. To some extent, they are different. There are wars going on all over the place, and some places flood faster than before. They want to take longer to recede than before. We have to strategize and deal with these problems.
But the Sussex Street Canal, which is one of the main outflows, is not a facility that the city has the capability and equipment to deal with. This outfall is essentially one that on which the council will rely on central government to address. Is it being cleared? Is it being cleaned? Is it being dredged on the outside so that the water can flow into the river? Into the river?
Those outfalls have not been dredged for the longest while. Many years ago.
That's an NDIA function.
That is, right? Often we ask them to assist. The most recent assistance we got from NDIA through the central government is that of some of the outfalls, where we do manual lifting of the coca door to get the water to recede. We have pumps there, and there is an arrangement in place to put a more electrical system in place. One that I saw a document on, which says that as long as the water is above a certain level, it will trigger some arrangement, the doors will open or the water start pumping. That, when it is implemented, we are likely to see some reduce in the extended period that the water stays on people's land. We are concerned because, Georgetown and Mayor and City Council mostly public health. And we have to be concerned with what happens. When the water stays on the land for too long, you have a number of issues. You have mosquitoes breeding. You have people, property in their homes damaging. It can cause children to fall sick easily. And so we have to be concerned. And that is our main issue right now, to make sure that drainage is a priority.
You have, 3 years on the council?
That will be, yes, this term.
Right. Here's a question that has been troubling me for a while. I know that on Princess Street, there was always a municipal healthcare facility, and there was always a municipal daycare facility for little children, housed in the same building, I believe, on 2 different levels. I believe the children were in the lower flat and the healthcare facility was in the upper flat. And that was, if I recall correctly, those facilities were managed by the city council.
Yes, it was.
What is the position with that? Do these facilities still function? Does the city still have control over them? Management?
What has happened in recent times is that the particular building you reference, the solid waste management team was relocated there for a period because we had to do some work on the solid waste building of itself. But what has also happened is that we no longer take care of children. And so those staff that we had in that section, some service was made redundant, some was put into other departments for work because they had the skill, they were able, and we put them in other departments.
But was responsible for the shift, if I may ask, away from children care and health care?
I don't know. One time it was a matter of cost. It was costing the council too much.
Well, maybe not costing the council too much, but costing the council more than the council was able to get as its just due from the government of Guyana.
Well, I would want to buy that argument. But you refer to also the health center.
Yes.
There is the #1 dispensary in Princess Street also.
Yes, I
Which
know
is a
that
government
one,
arrangement.
which is closer to Smythe Street area.
Correct.
Right.
You're right. That still exists. That is still in place. Outside of that, we have the Dorothy Bailey Health Center.
Country by no tongue a little bit.
Okay. All right.
Time is swiftly going by, and I want to ask you, I really wanted to ask this question also of your colleague, Clayton Hines, who is also a returning councillor.
You can read right there.
Speak to the local government commission and its apparent overriding powers over the officers of council. Speak to the issue of the council appearing not to have any authority to hire, discipline, or fire officers who it appears are not really carrying out the mandate of council. As I understand it, officers are required to carry out the decisions of council. And in many cases, this has not been happening, and the council is hamstrung when it comes to disciplining these officers for failing to carry out their duties. And the fallback has always been the local government commission, which will intervene and rule against council. Speak to that very briefly. We have a couple of minutes remaining. I see Clayton is back, and we'll ask him as well.
Marvin, that's the issue we have. It's a big burden. It's a problem for us. We cannot hire the people we pay. We cannot fire the people we pay. It is the crafters of that legislation, of that piece of constitution, that gave the local government body the right to hire and fire, discipline, and those things. We can, as a council, we can do a check, do an investigation, whatever we come up with, whatever recommendation we come up with, we have to send to the local government commission. And they often don't abide by our recommendation. And I'm a realist. Sometimes we get problems, we do, with staff members. But members of the staff sometimes know that if they were to carry out our decisions to the letter, some issue might come up at the level of the local government, and then send them some letters for some issue. It happens. We have seen it happen. And this wrong, we are returned to this council. We have to try our best to make sure that the council, the councillors, and the administration work for the better of the city. And as long as we can strike a position and get that understanding, we are going to do better for the city this time around. There must not be any unnecessary confrontation, and we are going to do better for the city this time around.
Clayton, I hear the wisdom of your brother, my brother, returning councillor. I want to ask you, would it be fair to say that from recent history, it is apparent that if the city council, the mayor and councillors of the city of Georgetown, and the central government are not of the same political party, there is never going to be cooperation between the two for the benefit and in the best interest of the people of Georgetown? Would that be fair to say?
Well, Marvin, that's an interesting question. It is always a question that I ask myself on so many occasions when you hear the pronouncements coming from central government, whether if it's APNU or PPP government. Here's a case where you have your capital city that needs to stand out in every way. Additionally, our president, I understand, is the holder of a
doctorate in urban planning.
Urban planning.
I hope he did the course.
I don't know, but I am told that he has some qualification in urban planning. And your city is under sea level. That alone tells you that you have to develop sustainable projects that can address that concern, because that's a perennial concern that will continue to happen.
But there's a responsibility of the council to generate those projects.
Where?
And it is the responsibility of the government, the central government, to work with the city to realize sustainability of those projects and the better quality of life for the people of the city, and to make the city of Georgetown a sustainable community of people. You can no longer plant gardens in the city, but that's another matter. But let's talk about this local government commission and its overriding powers. And how is it handicapping council? And do you see that as something that is going to happen to this new council because the PPP didn't win Georgetown and the APNU did?
Well, I am very hopeful that
You just have about 2 minutes.
good sense would prevail with the central government where that is concerned, because that's a legislative kind of anomaly, I would call it. Because there's some of our laws of a truth that overrides with other laws in the Constitution. And I'm saying that that is a matter that is of principal concern to council. And if that must be addressed, because it's as if a man tie your hand behind your back and this guy is in a boxing match and you are supposed to defend yourself. I don't know how that's possible. So the local government commission is obviously working against what the best of intentions of council is, because when we make kind of decision, yeah, it has to go there, you got to kind of, these are some of the issues, and I think that is one of the most pronounced kind of issues that need to be addressed as a matter of urgency.
Brother Fraser, last question to you, perhaps the last question in the program. A former minister of government for the People's Progressive Party once said that he wished that an epidemic should strike Georgetown so that people will fall sick, and because of this epidemic that the then PNC council will collapse and the People's Progressive Party will take over the city. Do you sense that this is what continues to happen, that there's a deliberate thrust by the central government to ensure that everything goes wrong in the city, that the drainage is bad so that dengue steps in, the drainage is bad so that mosquito-borne infections become prevalent, so that people get sick and frustrated with your council, our council? Do you see that as deliberate? And if you do you have any measures in mind that can counter that?
Murphy, we have to make sure that we have staff members of the council that are professionals and not politicians. As we speak, I heard my colleague councillor in waiting said just now of his observation, where he observed that the garbage was picked up before the election, after the election, the garbage are now left on the road. We have had that problem. One councillor used to call a particular staff member, used to describe the person as building castles in the sky. We have had that issue with a particular councillor. I hope that this time around that councillor understand, that officer understand, that we need to work for the city of Georgetown. I hope that officer understand that when we go there, when we return here, it is not to play, but to get the work done. The major thing that can cause that to happen is garbage build up. Where rodents and all these things you see get involved, and then the water gets in and it spread and it goes into the same drain area. We already have a situation where the water not receding fast enough. So the longer the water flood, the longer the water is on your land, and you interface with that water, you get into that water. For some reason, we know we have a lot of persons who are burdened, financially burdened in the city. It means that you're not well to do. So you have to go into that water. It can cause leptospirosis. It can cause so many diseases, typhoid, malaria, And I will hope that there is not another minister that would utter those words the minister earlier in those years uttered.
Well, we're coming down to program time. For those of you who don't know, my name is Marvin Williams. I'm your host. Nation Watch is a program that is produced and presented by the People's National Congress Reform. Today, we presented some of our councillors-elect for the city of Georgetown, and we had, I believe, good discussion. And also, for those of you who don't know, I spent some time growing up in the ghetto. And there's where I got a certain socialization that will stay with me for the rest of my life. And I know from growing up in the ghetto that then the mayor and city council had its own compactor trucks, tractors, the cleansing division or department as it was. And even the ghetto, where they now, I understand, refusing to pick up garbage, Councillor Ellis reported on that. There was scheduled garbage collection and disposal. Old Smoky, smoked all day. So I am familiar with the way it was then under Mavis Ben, Compton Young and company coming through. And I trust that we return to those glory days of a clean city when the mayor and city council can have authority to do its work, to discharge its functions, and to ensure that it gets its equipment, its tools, and its personnel, and the resources to compensate, to acquire and compensate those for the benefit and in the best interest of the city, the capital city of Georgetown, which should be our pride and our joy. And I trust that the residents of the city of Georgetown are pleased with their selection of councillors, their election of councillors, and I trust that you will not disappoint them and that you will work for them and with them. Thank you very much, councillors-elect, for joining us, and thank you very much, members of the public, viewing and listening public. Do have a blessed day. Until we meet again next Sunday, be good to yourselves.